NASCAR insiders are now saying the quiet part loud. The sport set one of its own drivers up to fail. On purpose, or at least through negligence so complete it might as well have been. And the two people saying it aren't trolls on Reddit. They're Kevin Harvick, former Cup Series champion, and Freddie Kraft, one of the most respected veteran spotters in the garage. These are NASCAR lifers, and they are throwing the sport's own entry system under the bus. So what actually happened here? And why is this conversation exploding right now? The driver at the center of it is Katherine Legge. And before you form any opinion about what comes next, you need to understand who she actually is. Because the way this story has been covered leaves a lot out. Legge has over 20 years of professional racing experience. IndyCar, IMSA, International Sports Car Series. She is not an amateur. She is not a content creator. She is a decorated professional racing driver who has competed at the highest levels of motorsport for 2 decades. She made her NASCAR Cup Series debut in March of 2025 at Phoenix International Raceway, and across the 2025 and 2026 seasons combined, she has made 7 Cup starts. Her best result, 17th at the Brickyard 400, Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The strongest finish by a female driver at that track since 2017. So she's not crashing out every week. She's not a danger to the field. She is doing what an underfunded, underprepared driver in inferior equipment can do, which is survive and occasionally show something real. But here's what Freddie Kraft said on the Door Bumper Clear podcast, and these words matter. NASCAR kind of set her up for failure. There was no win for her in going out there and running in the back because only bad things could happen. Read that again. Only bad things could happen. That's not a criticism of Katherine Legge. That is an indictment of the system that put her there. And Kevin Harvick had already said almost exactly the same thing a year ago, before most people were paying attention. She was really thrown to the wolves in this situation. Harvick pointed directly at the lack of Cup experience, the level of equipment, and the circumstances of her debut at Phoenix, a track she'd never driven a Cup car at with limited NASCAR experience in any category, and machinery that was nowhere near the front of the field. Then he said something that should be printed and hung on the wall at NASCAR headquarters. We've got to get back to some accountability of making sure that the people that are driving these Cup cars are properly prepared to go out on the racetrack and do the things that they need to do. Accountability. Kevin Harvick used the word accountability about NASCAR's own system. That is not a soft critique. That is a direct shot at the gatekeeping or lack of it that governs who gets a Cup car and when. Now here's where this story takes a turn that I did not expect, because Legge's name has been mentioned in the same breath as Cleetus McFarland, and those two situations could not be more different. McFarland is a YouTube personality and grassroots racer who entered NASCAR from a content creation background. Legge is a 2-decade professional with a legitimate international resume. The only thing they share, the only thing is that both arrived in Cup cars without the traditional stock car development ladder underneath them. Both got labeled by some fans as line jumpers. Both got criticism for early on-track mistakes. And that comparison actually reveals the real problem more clearly than anything else in this conversation. Because if NASCAR's system produces the same outcome for a professional racing veteran and a social media personality, the same under-preparation, the same exposure to failure, the same lack of reps and competitive equipment before the Cup lights come on, then the system itself is broken, full stop. It doesn't matter who the driver is, the pathway is failing them. Here's the structural reality that nobody wants to say plainly. NASCAR's lower series Xfinity truck were designed to be development pipelines. The idea was always that you prove yourself there, you earn your way up, you arrive in Cup with hundreds of stock car laps under your belt with a team that knows how you drive. With setups you've helped develop over time, that pipeline still exists in theory. But the Cup entry door has other keys now. Sponsorship unlocks it, novelty unlocks it, media attention unlocks it. And sometimes, as Kraft is pointing out, a driver gets handed a key before the house is even built. And when they walk through that door to a backmarker Cup team with no seat time in a car that is genuinely not competitive, you are not setting them up to grow. You are setting them up to become a talking point, a cautionary tale, or worse, a punching bag for fans who never asked whether the sport gave them a fair shot in the first place. 17 at Indianapolis is not a failure. That's a driver extracting everything out of a situation that wasn't designed to let her succeed. And 2 Cup champions, 2 guys who know what it takes to win at this level, are standing up and saying the same thing about the circumstances she was handed. Here's the part that still doesn't have an answer. If NASCAR acknowledges the pipeline is broken and Harvick's comments suggest it's an open garage conversation, not a fringe opinion, then who actually fixes it? Who decides the new standard for Cup readiness? And more uncomfortably, who's already been handed a Cup seat under the old broken standard, and does their future in the sport now get quietly reassessed? Because this isn't just about Katherine Legge. Legge is the case study. The argument is about the door itself and who's been allowed to walk through it. Drop a comment below. Do you think NASCAR needs a mandatory development standard before any driver gets a Cup seat? And does Katherine Legge deserve better equipment to prove what she can actually do?